Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into a pretty big shift in the Young Women organization in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Big changes for sure.
We're looking at Bonnie H. Cordon's talk from the October 2019 General Conference.
General Conference.
Yeah, where church leaders speak to members worldwide.
It's kind of like a spiritual keynote, I guess you could say, offering guidance and announcing those big updates.
Exactly. And Cordon, she's the Young Women General President, right?
Right.
And she's focusing on, well, empowering young women, helping them develop that, unshakable faith.
Unshakable faith, yeah.
And that strong understanding of their divine identity, as daughters of God.
Daughters of God, that's key.
And she shares some really powerful stories of young women.
Oh, I love those stories.
Like Bella.
Bella in Iceland.
Yeah, in Iceland.
Yeah.
And Josephine from Africa.
Uh-huh.
And Ashton, who faced cancer with incredible strength.
So strong, yeah.
And it struck me like their experiences, they're all so unique, right?
Yeah.
But they all highlight that personal connection with Jesus Christ.
That's the core of it, isn't it? It shows that faith journeys, they're individual.
Yeah.
But they're also anchored in that shared belief in a personal relationship with Christ.
It's about understanding our place in God's plan.
Absolutely.
It's like she's saying to each of us listening, hey, this is about your journey.
Your own unique path.
And that leads us to the revised young women theme.
Oh, yes.
Which really emphasizes that you.
The individual.
The old thing was more like we focus.
Collective, yeah.
But the new one, it states, I am a beloved daughter of heavenly parents with a divine nature and eternal destiny. As a disciple of Jesus Christ, I strive to become like him. I seek and act upon personal revelation and minister to others in his holy name. I will stand as a witness of God at all times and in all things and in all places. As I strive to qualify for exaltation, I cherish the gift of repentance and seek to improve each day. With faith, I will strengthen my home and family, make and keep sacred covenants, and receive the ordinances and blessings of the Holy Temple.
Wow. Powerful words.
So what are your thoughts on this shift from we to I?
Well, it's a powerful statement, isn't it? It's about individual accountability within the faith.
Like taking ownership.
Exactly. It's like the church is recognizing that young women need to own their beliefs and actions.
Not just being part of the group.
Right. It's more than that. It's about cultivating that personal connection with the divine.
That makes a lot of sense, especially with how much emphasis the church puts on personal revelation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like they're saying, you have a direct line to God, use it.
That's a great way to put it.
And this individual focus, it kind of extends to the next big change, too. The young women class structure.
Ooh, interesting.
For over a century, we had the three classes.
Beehives.
Mia maids.
And laurels. The classic setup.
Yep. But Cordon announced a move away from this rigid model.
Really?
Towards something more flexible, tailored to each ward's needs.
Each ward's needs, okay.
Wards, by the way, they're like congregations.
Yeah, little communities within the church.
So instead of fitting everyone into like these predefined boxes,
right?
They're acknowledging that a one-size-fits-all approach might not be the best.
Maybe not the best.
I mean, a small ward with like just a handful of young women might benefit from just having one combined class.
I could see that.
And a larger ward with more girls in, specific age groups might need separate classes for each.
Right. So it depends.
Exactly. It's all about adaptability.
Adaptability.
Recognizing that wards and the young women in them might thrive under different structures.
That makes sense.
And underlying all of this is the goal of creating what Cordon calls sanctuaries from the storms.
Sanctuaries, I like that.
Safe spaces where young women feel like they belong.
Like they're supported.
Like they're loved.
Yeah.
No matter what they're going through.
So important, especially today.
And that brings us to another change. One that might surprise some people.
Oh, let's hear it.
The retirement of those traditional class names.
You mean?
We're saying goodbye to beehives, Mia maids, and laurels.
Wow, big change.
From now on, all classes will just be called young women.
Just young women, okay.
Yeah.
I bet there's going to be some nostalgia there.
Oh, for sure. Those names hold a lot of history.
So many memories.
But shifting to a unified identity under the banner of young women.
Young women.
Might, foster an even greater sense of connection.
Across age groups, yeah.
What stands out to you about this change?
Well, it feels like a move toward inclusivity, Like they're saying.
Like we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Regardless of our age or, stage of development.
And this focus on unity
Yeah.
and shared purpose
Yeah.
seems to be like amplified by the strength and emphasis on class presidencies.
Class presidency is right.
So each young women class has this leadership structure,
Made up of young women themselves.
a president and her counselors.
Yep.
And Cordon stressed that these roles, they're vital. She said, young women, being a member of a class presidency may be your first opportunity to participate in this inspired pattern of leadership.
Inspired pattern of leadership. I like that.
What do you make of that statement?
Well, it seems to highlight how important it is to give young women, hands-on leadership experience.
Early on.
Early on, exactly. It's like a training ground.
For future leadership roles.
Yeah, not just in the church, but in the world too.
It suggests that these experiences within the Young Women program, they can be, like, formative.
Shaping their confidence.
And their abilities to lead.
With compassion.
And purpose.
Absolutely.
To illustrate this point, Cordon shared a story.
Oh, I love a good story.
About a young woman named Chloe.
Chloe.
Who was called to be a class president.
Okay.
And Chloe, she received a prompting.
A prompting, okay.
To call a less active young woman as her secretary.
Interesting.
Someone who, maybe didn't feel like they fit in.
Didn't quite fit in, yeah.
And this story, it really highlights those principles of revelation. And spiritual guidance within the church.
It's about seeing the potential.
In every individual.
Yes. Even those who might seem, overlooked.
Overlooked or like on the periphery.
Exactly.
And this idea of recognizing potential, it ties into the final change we'll talk about in this part of our deep dive.
Okay, what's that?
The introduction of ward youth councils.
Ward youth councils.
These councils, they're made up of youth leaders.
From both the young men and young women organizations.
Yes. And they're meant to give, young people a voice.
A voice.
In shaping activities and service projects.
So they have some say in what happens.
Exactly.
And Elder Quentin L. Cook?
Oh, a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles?
Right, a governing body within the church.
He specifically highlighted the vital role young women play in these councils.
Emphasizing their perspective.
And leadership abilities.
It's like the church is making a conscious effort,
to elevate the voices of young women.
Absolutely, recognizing them as essential partners.
In carrying out the work of the church.
Are working together.
So we've got this revised theme.
Mm-hmm.
The evolving class structure.
Right.
The unified class names.
Yep.
The empowered class presidencies.
Uh-huh.
And the inclusion in ward youth councils.
Big changes.
What do you think is the overarching goal of all these changes?
It seems like, the church is trying to equip young women to, navigate the complexities of the modern world.
Our modern world, yeah.
While staying grounded in their faith.
Grounded in their faith, that's important.
They're emphasizing personal connection with Christ.
Uh-huh.
Providing flexible structures for growth.
Flexible structures, yeah.
And offering opportunities to, develop those leadership skills.
So it's about empowering them.
Empowering them, absolutely.
To be strong, confident, and capable individuals.
Individuals, yeah.
Who can, make a positive impact.
Both within the church.
And in the world at large.
Exactly. It's a fascinating shift. And it makes you wonder.
Wonder what?
How these, seemingly internal changes might, ripple outward.
Ripple outward. How so?
Influencing the broader perception of women's roles and responsibilities.
Within the church.
And beyond.
That's something to really think about. How might these changes affect the future of the church? How might they shape the lives of young women for generations to come? We'll explore those questions further in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back.
It's great to be back.
It's exciting to keep unpacking these changes with you, especially thinking about the impact on young women's lives.
Yeah, and as we were prepping for this deep dive, something really hit me.
Oh.
It's how intentional these changes feel.
Intentional, yeah.
It's not like, they just randomly pick things to change.
Not random, no.
There's a clear purpose behind each shift.
There's a thoughtfulness to it, right? Like they really considered things.
Yeah, it feels like thoughtful adaptation.
Yeah.
Recognizing that young women have evolving needs.
Evolving needs, for sure.
But also staying true to the core principles of the church.
It's a tough balance to strike.
Makes you wonder, does this reflect a broader societal shift?
Ooh, Interesting question.
We see so much emphasis on individual empowerment these days.
Individual empowerment, right?
And creating those inclusive spaces.
Inclusive spaces, yeah.
These changes seem to echo that.
It's an interesting parallel.
Like maybe the church is realizing those old rigid structures.
The old ways.
Yeah, they don't resonate with young people as much anymore.
Times change, right.
And instead, there's this move towards like flexibility
Flexibility.
and personalization,
Personalization,
which feels very much in tune with the times.
Very in tune, yeah.
Makes me think about the pressures young women face today.
It's a different world.
It's a whole different world than even a decade ago.
Social media.
Technology.
Constantly shifting norms.
It's a lot.
A lot to handle, yeah.
And that's where I think these changes in the Young Women organization become even more significant.
More significant. How so?
It's not just about, adapting to societal trends.
It's deeper than that.
It's about giving young women a solid foundation to face those challenges head on.
A foundation built on.
A strong sense of self, unshakable faith, and the ability to lead with confidence and compassion.
And all this while navigating a complex world.
Exactly. And all within the framework of the church's teachings.
Teachings that emphasize what? Personal revelation, serving others.
Becoming more like Jesus Christ.
It's a holistic approach.
Mind, body, and spirit.
It's not just about what happens inside the church walls.
It's about equipping young women to make a difference outside those walls.
To be a force for good.
In their communities and beyond.
Which brings us back to that revised theme.
That powerful I statement.
Right. Remember how it emphasizes the individual.
It's a statement of identity, for sure, but it's also a call to action.
A call to action. How so?
It's like saying you are a daughter of God.
You are a daughter of God, yeah.
And with that comes responsibility. To use your gifts, your talents, to bless others.
To make a difference.
And that responsibility, it's woven into the entire Young Women program.
From the structure to the leadership opportunities.
What are your thoughts on how that translates into real-world action?
It's exciting to think about.
Isn't it?
Imagine young women leaving the church feeling empowered.
Empowered to what?
To speak up. To lead with compassion. To make a real difference.
In their communities.
They could become a driving force for good, advocating for those in need, tackling social issues, inspiring others to live with purpose.
I love that vision.
It's a powerful vision.
And the best part is it's not just a hopeful theory.
Oh.
We're already seeing the impact of these changes in the lives of young women around the world.
That's incredible.
We hear stories of young women stepping into leadership roles.
Leading with confidence.
Serving their communities with enthusiasm. They're speaking up for what they believe in, making a difference in their schools, inspiring their peers.
Their ripple effect.
Spreading outward from the Young Women organization.
Touching every aspect of the church and beyond.
And it's not just the young women who are benefiting. The adult leaders, the ones working with them, they're feeling it too.
Feeling what?
This renewed sense of purpose.
Excitement.
They're seeing the power of these changes firsthand.
And they're inspired by the young women they serve.
It's a beautiful cycle.
Empowerment and growth feeding off each other.
But it's important to remember.
To remember what?
This is just the beginning.
A beginning of what?
It's an ongoing process of growth.
Yeah.
Adaptation.
The journey of discovery.
For the young women and for the church as a whole.
And as with any journey, there will be challenges, adjustments.
Challenges and adjustments, yeah.
But the key is the church is committed to this path of growth and evolution.
Seeking inspiration. Making changes to support the needs of its members, especially its young people.
And that commitment, it's evident in every aspect of these changes.
The revisions, the emphasis on personal revelation.
Inclusive spaces.
Where every young woman feels valued, loved.
It's truly inspiring to witness.
It makes you think,
Think about how the church is addressing these very specific challenges young women face in today's world.
The world has changed so much, hasn't it?
Dramatically.
And the pressures, the expectations on young women, they've evolved too.
Social media, technology, shifting societal norms.
It's a lot to navigate.
And the church needs to provide guidance, support.
That's relevant responses to these realities.
Absolutely.
And that's where the focus on personal revelation becomes even more crucial.
More crucial? How so?
It's about teaching young women to seek guidance from God.
To trust their intuition.
Discern truth from falsehood.
In a world overflowing with information, opinions.
It's about giving them the tools to navigate the digital age.
To make wise choices that align with their values.
And then there's ministering.
Ministering.
Such a powerful antidote to the, isolation
The self-centeredness.
that can be so prevalent in today's culture.
It's about fostering community,
Yeah.
belonging,
Reminding young women they're not alone.
and that they have the power to make a difference.
It's nurturing empathy, compassion, in a world that often feels so divided.
And let's not forget the importance of creating those safe spaces, inclusive spaces,
Where young women can just, be themselves.
share their thoughts and feelings without judgment.
This is crucial in a world where young people are bombarded with unrealistic expectations, online bullying, social pressures,
It's about creating a sanctuary.
where they can find support, develop a strong sense of self-worth.
It's about recognizing that everyone's on their own unique journey.
And we all need a place where we feel seen, heard, valued.
And it's about acknowledging the diversity of experiences within the church.
Diversity of experience.
The church is global, right?
It is.
The challenges a young woman faces in, say, rural Utah,
Might be totally different from those faced by someone in urban Tokyo.
totally different, yeah.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to adaptability.
Adaptability.
The church isn't like a one-size-fits-all entity.
It's living, breathing.
It's constantly evolving, adapting to meet the needs of its members.
And these changes, they're proof of that.
Proof that what worked in the past,
Doesn't always work in the present.
it's about being responsive,
Yeah.
seeking inspiration, making adjustments that strengthen and support individuals in their faith journey,
Trusting in revelation
believing that God will guide and inspire His church.
as it seeks to fulfill its mission.
And as we continue to, observe the impact of these changes.
It's important to approach this journey with humility,
Humility, yeah.
openness.
Because we may not have all the answers, right?
And there will be discussions,
Yeah.
adjustments, refinements along the way.
But what gives me hope is
What gives you hope?
the church's commitment to this process
Mm.
of growth, evolution.
It's rooted in love, concern for its members,
Mhm.
especially the young people.
It's a reminder that faith isn't about clinging to the past
It's about embracing the present, looking to the future.
with hope and a willingness to adapt.
And I believe, as we move forward, these changes will bear fruit,
Bear fruit in what way?
strengthening faith, empowering young women to become leaders, inspiring them to impact the world.
It's an exciting prospect, and one we'll keep exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll look at the long-term implications, how these changes might shape the future of the church.
And we'll reflect on the broader societal impact of, empowering young women.
Empowering them to embrace their divine identity and step into their full potential.
We'll delve into those potential ripple effects, looking at how they might influence perceptions of women's roles.
Both inside and outside the church.
It's a conversation that goes beyond any one organization.
It's about creating a more just and equitable world.
It's a powerful conversation, and one I'm eager to continue. But for now, we encourage you to take some time, reflect on what we've discussed today.
What resonates with you?
What questions does this raise for you?
How might these changes, even in a small way, inspire you
To become a more active participant.
in your faith journey and in creating a more compassionate world?
Welcome back to our deep dive. It's the final part of our look at the evolution of the Young Women Organization.
It has been quite a journey exploring all these changes.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
From the revised theme,
That flexible class structure,
moving away from those traditional class names.
and putting such an emphasis on youth leadership.
It's been fascinating.
And throughout it all, it's like there's this one big idea,
What's that?
empowerment.
Yeah.
Encouraging young women to really own their divine identity.
To step confidently into their roles as disciples of Christ.
Exactly. And it's a message that, it could reach far beyond the church itself.
That's what's so powerful about these changes, right? They're not just internal.
They're part of something bigger, a larger conversation about, about women's roles.
Women's roles in society.
In society as a whole.
Exactly. And by empowering young women within the church, helping them develop their leadership skills.
Emphasizing their worth.
It could change how women are seen and valued everywhere.
It's like planting these seeds that could grow into something amazing.
Seeds of change.
Imagine a generation of young women who are confident, who speak up, and who lead with compassion.
A generation ready to make a difference.
And it's not just about the church.
No, it goes beyond that.
When women are empowered, Everybody benefits.
Everyone benefits. How so?
Their voices bring new perspectives.
New ideas.
Their leadership builds stronger organizations.
And their compassion makes the world a better place.
It's about recognizing those unique gifts women have.
Creating spaces where they can really flourish.
And the church, through these young women changes, they're playing a big role in that.
Fostering this empowerment.
Nurturing that generation ready to make a difference. What does that say about the church's vision, for the future?
Well, it shows a willingness to adapt, to evolve.
To recognize that needs are changing, both inside the church and in society.
It's a vision of a church where women's voices matter.
Where their contributions are valued.
Where their leadership is fully embraced.
It's a church that's not afraid to change things up.
To challenge old ways of thinking.
To create a more inclusive future. For everyone.
And that vision, it can inspire others outside the church, too.
Spark those conversations about women's roles in families, communities, the world.
It's exciting, all the possibilities.
It is. But as we wrap up our deep dive here, it's important to remember,
To remember what?
These changes, they're just the first step.
The beginning of a journey.
There will be bumps in the road, adjustments to be made.
That's part of the process.
But what gives me hope, what I find encouraging, is that the church seems committed to this path of growth and evolution.
They're listening to their members, seeking inspiration.
Making changes that show they understand the challenges young women face today.
And the opportunities, too.
That commitment, it's visible in all these changes we talked about.
The careful revisions, the emphasis on personal revelation.
The inclusive spaces they're creating.
It's all evidence of that commitment.
It shows a belief in the potential of each person.
And a trust in the power of adaptation.
So as you think about everything we've talked about today, think about the bigger picture.
The ripple effects of these changes.
What does it mean for the future of the church?
What about the lives of women in your community?
How can you help create a world where women are empowered, where they can reach their full potential?
These are the questions to ponder.
We may not have all the answers, but having the conversation, that's a great place to start.
Recognizing that change is needed, embracing those possibilities, and working together to build a more just world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been great exploring all this with you. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep searching for that knowledge that makes the world a brighter place.